Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday the 20th. Tonight is the full moon in Pisces. There's also a major energy vortex coming in, thanks to not only the full moon, number one, but it's also the Autumn Equinox, starting tomorrow, actually. Um, and then also there's a major retrograde coming. Another Mercury's once again in retrograde. There's also another retrograde going on right now, and I think it's I believe it's Neptune in Taurus that's in retrograde. Definitely double check double check that. I'm pretty positive that's what it is. So there's just an enormous amount of energy swirling. There's going to be a massive shift and change. Like a lot of energy is going out, and there's a lot of energy coming in. So for tonight, we're going to break all that down. Once again, for those of you who are new to the channel, the way I do it is I ask what energy is coming in through the netherworld. So the realm of the unseen, our unconscious, underworld, how it is going to be affecting us on the earth plane, and then finally, what advice can the higher realms give us? Once again, in the categories of air, so intellectual, in the mental plane, earth, definitely physical, stability, money, finances, stuff like that. Fire, passion, drive, what we do, and what keeps us going. And then finally, water, our emotional state, our ability to adapt and change. So that's what those four categories are, and that's what they correspond to the elements. And then of course, in the the four cards across, of the three rows, those obviously represent the underworld or invisible world. Obviously, the earth plane second, or the middle, and then the top, the advice that the high realms could give us. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So please, elements, all four, air, earth, fire, and water. Please bring forth the messages that we all need collectively, for myself, for my viewers, everyone. What advice, what information, what energy is coming in from the unseen world? What is this energy shift bringing? Information can you give us? Sorry, just making sure nothing dropped. Felt like something had slipped out of my hand. Give us. Well, particularly, what is the energy coming in from the lower realms? What do we need to know? Let's see what we have. What is this energy coming in? What is it about? What is it concerning? Obviously a major shift. Alright. Okay, so first in the air column in the first row, 8 of Wands, reversed. Then we have a 4 of Cups, reversed. We have the Queen of Wands reversed. Boy, oh wow, all these are reversed. And then the the 8 of Pentacles. So we have 8, the entire row from the underworld is reversed. Once again, this is never like necessarily a positive or negative thing. For the most part, actually, let me actually analyze this. Give me one moment. Okay, sorry about that. Also, I'm sorry, I'm trying to, it's very hard. My setup isn't the best right now, so my face isn't always appearing as I wanted to. But anyway, so the energy coming from the underworld is a humongous change. It's almost like an entire upheaval. um, which is, it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, but there's going to be a lot of, I'm just going to be outright and say it. There's just going to be a lot of uncomfortable shifts. Very uncomfortable energy, very, just everything is going to be upheaved. This is what this energy is really bringing in. Um, it's just it's just the cycle. It's how things go sometimes. And once again, this isn't particularly a bad thing. You could wind up. It's very possible to land in a better place than you were before, but the process is just going to be, once again, extremely uncomfortable. Um, Old skills and ideas and things that may have been, what looked like may have been working or promising, just are probably going to fall flat. Um, and from what I am really looking at, is this is just going to be two very important things. Know what you're getting into, be very observant, and there's not much of a choice other than to go with the flow. Um, Also, be very, very careful with with particularly, like, this is a very intense period of feminine energy that's coming from full moon Pisces, and the shifting of the sun out of Virgo. Once again, very, very feminine energy. So just be worried not to, you know, be abrasive or really irritate anyone with particularly, especially women, or just particularly very powerful feminine energy. So this can be, women, uh, men who are nurturing. It's really independent of gender, to be honest. But I'm sensing, like, be very careful with any kind of um, conversations or conversing with anyone of the with the female gender, or who are female engendered. So once again, this could also be, it's ultimately independent of gender, but just be careful not to upset, the feminine energy. I'm just gonna say that. Um, that especially people, um, and once again, can't stress it enough, but particularly women are very just people who are effeminate. Now this isn't just, once again, I feel like I'm over explaining it a little bit, but it's just with, it's basically a time for the masculine energy to step back, for that shift to kind of occur, um, and just being aware of, being tactful of any kind of dealings, once again, conversations. This is going to be huge upheaval of energy changing. Um, so just be very, very careful and wary of that. So unfortunately, it's going to be, it's just such an intense shift, and this is all for, honestly, like, moving to better pastures, elevating, essentially. Um, so as well as, the energy that is coming in from the elements that I'm getting is, um, be respectful how you work with the feminine energy, um, but it's ultimately here to nurture you. So make sure to give the utmost respect. Make sure to have patience. It's gonna be once again, it's gonna be an intense time. So that's what's coming in from. That's what I'm really getting from the energy that's coming in through the netherworld, through the unseen, through the invisible, the underworld. So let's move on to how this is really going to affect us in these different areas. So once again, air, earth, fire, and water on the earth plane. Okay, so yep, basically confirming what I just described. So, hold on a sec. So here we go. So in the air placement, we have the Five of Pentacles. So definitely, or sorry, not air. Well, yeah, air. I'm sorry. So definitely in the air placement, we have the Five of Pentacles. In the earth placement, we have the Sun, In the fire placement, we have the Six of Cups upright, and then in the water placement, we have the Nine of Wands. So, just starting off immediately, like this shift is going to bring definite hardship. There could be some kind of loss of stability, either financial, home, things like that. Um, and maybe not necessarily losing it physically, but there's going to be some very unstable energy. There's going to be a lot of unrest. Um, I'm sensing, especially concerning family and friends, people who you're used to spending a lot of time around. There's just going to be a whole bunch of things coming to light, um, and just things that need to be air out for this huge shift to come in and elevate. Um, in the and this is particularly in the air, so people are going to be, I'm getting that people are going to be just dealing with a lot of other people's ideas, how they think, and just a lot of that's going to come to light, and it's going to irk or disturb, like how people just work together, live together, coexist. Just there's going to be that on the mental plane, and it might just be like a sign that you kind of have to pull yourself back to reevaluate yourself. In the water placement, or sorry, in the earth placement, we have the sun reversed. So once again, like the sun is always going to rise. So this is going to basically, it's a time to really kind of focus on what one needs on the earth plane. So what one needs for stability. So once again, any kind of finances, stuff like that, house, home, blah 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 blah, just whatever one needs to feel stable. Um, and honestly, the energy is there for that with this humongous influx of energy, this vortex. But it's up to you to be able to, once again, be aware of what's going on and how you actually nurture this. Because it's going to take a lot of work, and it's not going to be, an easy fix. Um, so once again, the sun will rise on whatever you do, but be very, very careful with how you do it and with what you're doing and how you do it. So that's a very strong indicator from the sun in the earth placement reversed on the earth plane. And then once again, we have the Six of Cups in the fire placement. So once again, there's this air of feminine energy coming in, and actually from the netherworld in the fire placement, we also have the Queen of Wands reversed, but this is upright. So once again, this is going back to what I was saying a little bit earlier. How to you do not want to upset the feminine energy or interrupt it or throw it off balance, and this is going to be in particular with people. Um, so once again, like and not and just dealing with people, dealing with the feminine side of people. Once again, independent of gender, but once again, I'm really picking up. This is going to be a lot with those of the female gender. So women, men who gravitate more towards the feminine side. Once again, independent of gender and completely independent of sexuality, but there's very strong feminine energy at work here, and that includes like one's own feminine energy, regardless of how one identifies. Like there's just this opening for this energy, for this restoration to come through and really help grow, elevate, and connect once again with the masculine energy, the masculine side, and for that, the masculine energy is going to have to, step back a little. And it's okay to allow oneself to experience both the male and female sides of themselves, and without opposition from the other. So, just really getting in touch with that feminine side, really understanding, learning from that feminine side, understanding the feminine side, because this is what the fire, what this Six of Cups, so this water element, is offering in the placement of fire on the earth. It's offering that, like, that willingness to nurture and will you accept, and if 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 not, fine, but don't get in the way of of others, and don't get in the way of yourself, ultimately. So that's what this is really getting at with, don't interrupt or disrupt the feminine energy. Let that energy flow through you. Let it flow with the people around you. Let it elevate. Let it grow. Help you grow. And it's also another strong indicator to be careful of how you do communicate, because there could be, not everyone is gonna have your best interest at heart. There are gonna be those out who are going to seek to manipulate you in some way, and they will use the feminine principle. Or the feminine, or their feminine energy, or what have you, however they're going to do it. So just be careful with how you're dealing with people, and make sure you pick up on their energy. Um, and make sure you're comfortable in your own feminine energy and your own, how you nurture yourself and how you keep yourself together, and what you do in your daily life and things like that. So that's very important. And then finally, we have on the Earth plane, we have the Nine of Wands. On the Earth plane, in the water placement, we have the Nine of Wands, which is a strong indicator of, like, you kind of have to guard your emotions and what you've been doing. With this shift, certain things may not work out the way you want, or there may be skills or things that you have done that just don't match up, especially to your own emotional level, or how you've grown just emotionally, and how you've changed, adapt, and learned. Um, you know, you can defend yourself in your areas that you have grown, but just be aware that the old skills that you used may not work anymore to keep yourself there. You might have to create this new plateau, this new foundation, and defend this territory so you can grow even more. And that's okay. That's part of the cycle. That's part of growing. That's part of how things change and grow and develop. So all around with the Earth plane, it's just from air to water in this case. Throughout the entire reading, or for the Earth plane, not just, but be very careful with how you deal with your own femininity and your own your own femininity, and how you handle issues that come up from day to day, from anything pretty much. There will definitely be some kind of, like with any kind of shift, there's just going to be some major exhaustion, and it's going to be a struggle, and you may wind up losing out in the cold in some way. But it's making room for new things to come in. So may be feeling like there's a really strong space of lack, but with the sun, keep working on what you're doing, keep developing, keep growing, and eventually, this card of being cold, or being out in cold and feeling bitter and stuff like that, and being out of loss, the sun will eventually completely rise on this. So you just have to keep going. It's just a matter of how one works with the energy. And then finally, for what the advice can the higher realms give us on this, we have the Seven of Wands reversed in the air placement. Interesting. We have the Nine of Swords. Oh boy. We have the Hierophant reversed. I don't know if I said that the Seven of Wands was reversed in the air placement. If I did, then it's reversed. And then we have the Two of Wands in the water placement for what advice can the higher realms give us. So, just overall looking at all this, basically, now is not the time to necessarily, give me a second, let me really look over this. Sorry about that. Sorry, I'm just gonna get rid of this. I don't know what that is. It's some kind of leaf. So, ultimately, what the information the higher realms is giving us about all this is, first of all, in the air placement, it wouldn't be a good idea to remain stagnant. It just wouldn't. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of choices coming in with this new energy, with these new changes. But the last thing you want to do is remain in one place mentally. Like, that's the last thing you want to do. And actually, this is backed up by the Nine of Swords in the Earth placement, because with this new, um, so just for a little reference, the Nine of Swords generally represents extreme mental anguish, actually. Anxiety, uneasy feelings, just complete and utter uncertainty, and it can be extremely stressful and painful, almost to the point of you're mentally torturing yourself. But this is also surrounding one's need to make mental changes. Like, one has come to a certain place where old ways of thinking just aren't working, and maybe old ideas of stability or old methods of stability are just no longer effective, and that's really stressing one out. But it's just a necessary change. It's just going to have to happen. Um, and then with the Hierophant, actually, in the column of fire, in the higher plane, higher realms, plane of higher realms, this is really kind of calling us to examine what, you know, the choices, like our philosophies, our beliefs, our work that we've done and why we've done it. What, how did it serve us, and whether or not do we want to keep it. Actually, this came in reverse. So actually, with the Hierophant reverse, this is suggesting that possibly one want to, toss out these old beliefs that are no longer serving, and just, learn and work on their own. But it's really calling us to really consider, what, what about our work, or what do we do in our daily lives or our day to day that really, that really gives us substance, and why do we keep doing it? And then finally, we have the Two of Wands in the water placement. And, the Two of Wands it's a very open-ended card, to be honest, but it can generally indicate there's an unexpected factor. But in this case, it's almost like there's a standstill. Like, what is the world really bringing us, and how do I work with this energy? Now, this could come in the form of some kind of surprise. This could come in the form of, something that's really unexpected, but a very positive thing. It could be potentially negative, but even that can lead to something that's positive. So it's just being really open to receiving on the emotional level. So the overall reading, I would say, but this reading is just, there's a lot, once again, there's just such an influx of energy. Once again, this time it's heavily feminine. So definitely, be respectful of the feminine energy. Work with it, nurture it, be careful of it, because it may, depending upon who you're dealing with, they may not have your best, once again, they may not have their best interests at heart, or your best interest at heart. You may be wrestling with these really old ideas. In fact, I'm getting, some old guy who's very uncomfortable with, just not even just gay men, but just effeminate men in general, because you can be effeminate and be straight, or be a straight male. Same thing as you can be a masculine or more masculine presenting woman, still be straight, or what have you. Not just, it just doesn't all fit in that category. But really, once again, the overall reading is really saying, respect this new energy coming in, work with it, respect this feminine energy, work with it, work with especially your own feminine self, like, regardless of gender, work with your own feminine energy, learn from it, listen to it, be nurtured from it, and that may even involve tossing out some ideas or perceptions that you once had that just weren't working, or they were, rooted in the wrong. While they may have been effective and weren't terrible, but they were rooted in some place that may have been very, very negative and very anti-feminine energy. So this is definitely a general reading from the four elements that I was working with. And just really respect this feminine energy in all of its forms. Respect the feminine, respect your feminine, respect other people's feminine, respect, earth, water, just literally. Work with, learn from, nurture the feminine energy. Nurture your feminine energy. And confront where things are not imbalance in both your own self or your own parts of your own life. All right, it's starting to get dark and I'm going to lose light, so I do have to cut this video right about now. But yeah, once again, that's the message: respect, nurture, and work with the feminine energy. And above all, respect yourself. The shift is going to be intense. It's going to be hard, but it's going to elevate and lead to better pastures. So, and that's going to come through the divine feminine. So yeah, that's what this reading is. Um, love and respect yourself, both parts of yourself, masculine and feminine. Allow that to uplift you. Yeah. Peace. See you next time.